which I think is, so close to 100%, you might as well treat it like 100%. But like with medicine, we often have to make decisions with 90, 95% confidence, knowing that you're going to be wrong one time in 10 or one time in 20. And we can't wait until we're 100% certain, because by then it'll probably be too late to really do anything about it. It's like, we're not sure. Phil Plait came up with this analogy, which I also think is good. We're about 95% sure this asteroid's going to hit the Earth. Are we going to wait till we're 100% sure that asteroid's going to hit the Earth before we build our rockets and start to plan the mission to try to? No, you have to act now. In fact, at what point I would say at 20%, certain, I would want NASA to be doing something. At 30%, 40%, we're at 95%. When you think about how solid a consensus is, there's actually two numbers. There's what percentage of scientists agree with a certain conclusion, and how sure are they? And we have both of those numbers with climate change. We have 97% of these climatologists are confident that man-made global warming is real, and they're 95% confident. So those are the numbers. I mean, again, you could quibble about them, but I don't think they're fundamentally different than those two numbers. The one other aspect to all of this, and that is, think about what the oil industry was able to accomplish with all of their resources. And, they pretty much have smoking gun evidence now that they knew about global warming and were motivated to cover it up, right? In fact, the New York State's attorney is bringing a lawsuit based upon that, and by evidence that ExxonMobil, for example, their executives knew that this is going on. But in any case, they were not able to manufacture a scientific consensus that they wanted. All they really could do was cast doubt and confusion on the scientific consensus. The point is that conspiracy theorists casually assume that other industries can just manufacture a scientific consensus whenever they want. Big Pharma can manufacture a consensus on vaccines. Biotech can manufacture a consensus on GMOs. But there's really no evidence that they can.
They would have to manufacture so much data in some sort in cahoots with one another over such a long period of time. Yeah.
Very big conspiracy.
And that's the thing. Usually when something is published in a peer-reviewed journal, and it turns out to be bullshit, it gets retracted.
Yeah, or just other scientists say that's bullshit.
Yeah, but follow Retraction Watch. We have great watchdogs who keep an eye on this kind of stuff.
I agree. And then also, a lot of conspiracy theorists act like the United States is the only country in the world.
Oh, yeah. With UFO spottings, I always am amazed by this. Somehow, we were in cahoots with, Russia? Really?
Yeah.
That's
this
crazy.
is the world governments would have to be in on this together.
Yeah, there's no way.
They cooperate so often, so well.
Yeah, I know, yes. Everyone's very good about keeping secrets.
North Korea's just keeping all our secrets. That's happening.
The subjective validation and the ad hoc reasoning becomes evident, right? So with climate change, it's the government that is behind it, right? Against the industry. But with GMOs, it's the industry that's behind it. They're pulling the wool over the eyes of the government or the scientists. With Lyme disease, it's the insurance companies who are the villain. You can always find somebody to be the villain, and it's always somebody different. It can't be any part of the puzzle can be the villain as needed without any evidence. You just pick your villain.
But it is the government a lot, isn't it? It's like a common target.
Yeah, oftentimes
it's either government's omnipresent.
Government or business, right? If you tend to be liberal, then you're more likely to blame corporations. If you tend to be conservative, you're more likely to blame the government. It's partly ideological too.
There's some legitimacy to seeing the government and big business working together on their interests. The problem is when you take that and run with it in such an extreme way.
Sometimes they're working together, sometimes they're not working together.
Right.
You can create your narrative any way you want. That's the ad hoc reasoning, and it doesn't have to be consistent at all. Whereas I think the skeptical position is consistent. We're saying the science is the science. Yes, everyone has their own take on it, but it kind of all comes out in the wash. As long as there's legitimate, mature scientists publishing rigorous data, that tends to trump corporate interests, government interests, whoever.
That's what's so fantastic about science. It's kind of out there on its own, separate in a way. I mean, sure, humans are still involved in the enterprise, but still, it's kind of separate from all of that nastiness.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, it's self-correcting.
It's self-correcting. Yeah. And
Self-correcting and
part of the self-correcting aspect to it is that everyone is not on the same page. It's not like everyone has the same motivations. Different scientists have different points of view, where they have different, they work in different countries. Maybe private or government or industry or whatever.
And a lot of times it's the alternative of that, because scientists a lot of times feel competitive to publish first and to, there is some competition. So not only are they not working together, sometimes they're like not working together.
Oh no, they are competing with each other.
Yeah.
They're keeping each other honest, and they have every motivation to tear down what another scientist is saying.
Which makes a consensus even more compelling.
Exactly.
Once you have that breakthrough, it's all these disparate pieces actually agreeing on something to a significant degree. That's compelling.
And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in real time. One of my favorite, because it was so dramatic, was IVIG versus plasmapheresis for Guillain-Barré syndrome. Again, a very wonky, medical controversy. Heated scientific controversy over which one was better, and two schools of thought pretty evenly divided. So they did a consensus trial. They did a huge, multi-center trial comparing the two treatments head to head. And everyone listened to the results of that study at the end. Didn't matter what school of thought you were a member of prior to it. Once the data came out, again, when the data is ambiguous, everyone has their own opinion. When the data is conclusive, everyone has the same opinion. It turns out, by the way, they were equally effective, so everybody won. But yeah, neither had an advantage over the other, so that was the answer.
Okay,
that's everyone now has the same opinion. All right, Evan, you're going to tell us about another scientific controversy about hobbits.
That's right, hobbits. Like all creatures of Middle Earth or planet Earth, each known critter has a taxonomical name. We're going to be talking about Homo floresiensis. In 2003, the remains of a relatively small humanoid were discovered on the island of Flores in Indonesia, hence the name. Measuring approximately 1 meter in height, the creature's diminutive stature had earned it the nickname, of course, the Hobbit. Now, some anthropologists have suggested that they are the remains of a Homo sapien, a human, but these humans may have suffered some sort of miniaturizing disorder. And then there's another set of scientists, including the discoverers, archaeologist Mike Morwood and his colleagues. They propose that a variety of features, both primitive and derived, identify these individuals as belonging to a new species, which they have named Homo floresiensis. It can't be both, can it? It either is a Homo sapien with a disorder of some sort, or it's either human,
it's human.
This new species, or something else.
It's all human, modern human, when you're talking about Homo sapiens.
Right.
But interestingly, when the first Neanderthal skeleton was discovered, it actually did suffer from arthritis, and so it was not a modern human specimen, but it also was diseased. And in fact, that hunched over caricature of primitive humans derived largely from the fact that first skeleton just was hunched over with arthritis.
How long did that last?
From the first one. Oh gosh, yeah.
Still,
that's cultural. Yeah. It's cultural.
It's like Brontosaurus. They didn't take it down from the American History Museum for years.
But now it's back.
I know, but now it's back.
But as we were talking about before, good science practices demand that there be a robust debate and comparison between the multiple schools of thought here, and definitely there has not yet been a consensus on exactly what this creature is or was. But after 12 years of study, and it's going back and forth, the question is, where's the line? So what's the evidence which would sway, say, basically one side's analysis over to others? Well, the news from this past week regarding this critter is that researchers have performed a comprehensive analysis of the teeth from several hobbit jaws. And their evidence is suggesting that they are teeth belonging to a unique species rather than some sort of human or modern or human